Hello everyone. Can you see through the window behind me? It is finally raining here. We have had the last few days thunderstorms. Well, no, we haven't had any storms. We've heard thunder, but that's about it. We'd get a very light sprinkle, just enough to, if you stood outside, you wouldn't even have gotten wet. Finally, it is raining because I have some plants in areas that I can't get a hose to, and they were really looking sad. But for today, I thought since I'm stuck inside that I would make a cake. And this happens to be using, hold on, I'll show you. Paleo baking flour. And what's nice about this already made up Paleo flour is that you don't have to measure everything out. It's already done for you. So what's in this is almond flour, arrowroot starch, coconut flour, and tapioca flour. That's what's in this. And as most of you know, I have a daughter-in-law who has MS, and so I cook a lot with the dairy-free, grain-free, gluten-free ingredients and sugar-free. Yeah, and I'm gonna make a cake. And you know what's nice about this? The reason why I decided to make this cake is because this is extremely low carb. And the only sweetener in here is natural maple syrup. So anyways, I thought maybe you'd like to see how to do that. So I have preheated my oven to 325, and I have already measured out the 2.5 cups of the Paleo flour here. So what we're gonna do is we are gonna add our baking soda and salt, and we are gonna whisk this together. So here's my baking soda and my salt. And I'm just going to lightly mix that together. Now what I am going to do is set this aside and take a larger bowl. And in this bowl, I am going to whisk together the 4 eggs and my 1/2 cup of coconut oil, my maple syrup, which was also a 1/2 cup, and my tablespoon of vanilla extract. We're just going to whisk this together. Once these are all whisked together thoroughly, then we are going to add our dry ingredients to this. But I did forget to tell you something, and that is that this makes 1 8-inch round cake. So you take some parchment paper and you put it in your round pan and you spray just the sides with some baking spray. So now I am just going to add my flour. And then we're going to whisk this together. Once that is all whisked together, we're just going to put it in our pan. So this is very, very easy. And then we're going to put this into our oven. And this should cook for about 30 to 35 minutes or until a toothpick inserted in comes out clean. So that was pretty easy. And here is our finished cake. So in a couple minutes, I will remove it from the pan and then I'll let it cool. I decided that I wanted to make chocolate icing for my cake. And so I got out Danielle Steele's cookbook, and this one happens to be Celebrations, and in it she has recipes for frosting. And so yeah, I'm gonna make this frosting, and I've never made this before, but I want to read the ingredients because yeah, it's not like any frosting I've ever made before. It takes 2 cups of palm shortening, 1 cup of maple syrup, 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract, 1 cup of cocoa powder, 3/4 cup arrowroot starch, arrowroot powder is another name for that, and a 1/2 teaspoon of sea salt. So this actually makes for a double layer cake, and so I'm cutting the recipe in half. So anyways, I'm gonna give this a try. Now the first thing that we are told to do is to use a stand mixer if we have it with the whisk attachment. Otherwise you can just use a hand mixer. But it's telling me that I am to beat my palm shortening on medium high for 30 seconds. So that's what I'm going to do. And when that's done, I am going to add my maple syrup and my vanilla and beat for another 30 seconds. So we'll get that going. This is my palm shortening. We'll beat this for 30 seconds. Now we are going to add our maple syrup and our vanilla. And we are going to mix for another 30 seconds. It doesn't say to scrape, but this definitely needs scraped. Then it says that we are to add in our cocoa powder and our arrowroot powder and the salt. So here's our cocoa powder. And here is our arrowroot and our salt. And beat on low, it says, until it's incorporated. Okay, now we're to beat this on high for 30 seconds. And that's it. Hey, it tastes pretty good. I will go ahead and frost my cake. And this is really good. And I'll show you what that looks like when I'm all done. I just had to stop and take a moment and tell you just how delicious this frosting actually is. Not only is it extremely creamy, but it is full chocolate flavor. I thought for sure that I was going to get the taste of the maple syrup, and you don't. All the maple syrup did was add the sweetener to the unsweetened cocoa powder. And it is absolutely divine. It really is. I wish that you could reach in and just take your finger and take a lick, because it really is good. And if you know anybody that is not supposed to have cane sugars, but they are allowed to have honey and maple sugars, I encourage you to give them this recipe and to tell them that it's in Danielle Steele's cookbooks. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Anyways, thanks for coming along with me, and I will talk to you in just a little while. Today, our devotion comes in part from Right from the Heart Ministries, and our verse for today is found in 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 22. To the weak, I became weak, to win the weak. I have become all things to all people, so that by all possible means I might save some. Today, I thought we could look at one possibility of what Paul meant by weak. Paul's referring to more than just a physical weakness. Perhaps Paul could be referring to our struggles, our vulnerabilities, and our difficulties. And this is the line of thought that I would like to continue on. Because one of the worst things that a Christian can do is to appear as though they got it all together. Because honestly, even the strongest Christians have their weaknesses and struggles. For some, it's an emotional struggle, like a fear or an anxiety or even depression. For others, it might be a moral struggle. And if we're honest, we all struggle in one way or another. As I look at today's verse, perhaps Paul is saying that when we are willing to acknowledge our own weaknesses, we will be better able to point to the Lord as the source of our strength. And in turn, we will be able to direct others to God for strength. It's when we are willing to appear honest and real by meeting people where they are as an equal. The Lord will make available opportunities for us to share how God's strength has helped us. We all struggle. The only difference is that as a follower of Jesus, we cling to God's strength. So when we are willing to show others our weaknesses and admit that we also struggle, we will be able to demonstrate how in our weaknesses, God's strength shines through. And that's the message each of us need to share to those who are struggling. Because it's not about me, but what God does through me. And with that, I want to remind you, life happens. Let's enjoy it. And if you really want others to come to know and love Jesus Christ, we need to be willing to set aside our comfort zone in order to win others to Christ. And sometimes that means we need to expose our own vulnerabilities. God bless, and I will talk to you on Monday.